What's good, recipients? How are y'all doing today? I want to thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Regis Reflections. Y'all already know each and every episode we have a different athlete on the podcast. And this week we got my dog Bama. Say what's up to the people, Bama.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? I'm Bamidele Aina.
Ah, man, you gotta have more energy today, man. It's good vibes, good vibes. Come on, we gotta
You
chill
right, you
some.
right, you right. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? I'm all the way out here from Texas. Yeah.
Texas, it get hot in Texas. Ain't nothing like it though.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing like it. So, Bamidele, before we get started, how is your mental health right now on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being the greatest and 1 being the worst.
Mm, I'd probably say it's a good 8. Good
Good
8,
eight.
8.5. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are you excited to go back to school? You nervous? What's kind of the vibe before you head back up to Howard?
I definitely say I'm nervous, more so not about like, oh, like freshman year, all this other stuff, because I'm going into, I know the ropes a little bit. I know what's about to be going down. It's more so just because like new people coming in. I don't know what the team's gonna look like. And then also to just moving in general. Moving is stressful. So just trying to figure that out from as an out of state student.
I know that's tough going from Texas all the way to DC. Praying for
Yeah.
you. Praying for you. So before we get into the episode, though, I know I have family members that go to Howard, that went to Howard. I know how y'all taught, so go ahead and hype up Howard right quick. Give y'all a little tea about why y'all the best HBCU. I'm gonna give you your space, so go ahead.
Okay, so HU, you know, so we are the Black Mecca, of course, and we are the Hilltop, the school that's on the hill. That's who we're known for. And even though Howard has its ifs and buts, Howard really is a Black Mecca because of just, again, not only the connections that everybody uses and says, but it's more so just the community of people at Howard. Because even me, like as a communication student and just in the school communications, I know like a dozen of people who are willing to help me out, even outside of SLC, or that's how we refer to it at our school. People in my school, like, or even outside of my school, are willing to help me out. I have friends that will send me opportunities and be like, oh, this looks like something you do, or something like this. So it's really a community that's trying to uplift each other and just to see the best version of everybody and everybody get up to the top.
Clock it, clock it. Okay, Howard. Okay, Howard. I want the competition. I see his fan, but we got to see about that. I give it to Howard though. I give it to
Yeah,
Howard. So, Regis recipients, Bamidele here is a member of Howard University's swim and dive team, and he is a diver on the team.
exciting.
And Bamidele is originally from Garland, Texas. And I
Mhm.
have to ask, what is there in Garland, Texas? People only know Dallas. I never knew about Garland, Texas prior to this. So, hype up again, Garland. What's going on out there?
Okay, so I'm not from Garland High School. I didn't go there, but it's called, everybody calls it G Town. This is G Town out here. And Garland, even though people don't know about it, it's like a small city. Like you got everything you need. You got a Walmart, you got everything, you got your schools. So Garland's where it's at. Like Garland's like a little hub in itself in Texas that people just don't know about. It's like a little gem. So I've lived in Garland my whole life, and even though I went to school in the city over, it really blends in because GISD or Garland ISD, like it's like a tri-city type of district. So Garland is everything I've ever known, and I would say I don't really think I can imagine myself living anywhere else because Garland is really just where it's at and where it's been my whole life.
Okay. Gotta check out. Do your homework on Garland. Do your homework. So, and I know that you started kind of diving and getting into that scene because in your community back in Garland, Texas, they built a natatorium. So when they built that, what was your first step? Were you excited? Were you say, let me go try it out and see? Kind of what was kind of the first steps of you getting into that diving career?
Mm. I mean, it was all me. Of course, I didn't even know what a natatorium was, or to this day, I don't even know if it's natatorium or natatorium. I just say natatorium. But yeah, so I was like, okay, I can swim a little bit. I can do some swimming because my mom early on put me in swimming lessons. So I already had the ability to swim, which everybody should know. And it's really, really heavy facts. Like, I'm not, going to get into the delves, but Black people should really know how to swim because it's a critical life skill. But otherwise, yeah. I remember seeing like flyers about like them having swimming and diving team because a new natatorium opened up, and I was like, okay, you know, I really want to let them in. That's the main reason I would say I really wanted to go and try it out because I had older siblings that went to another high school in the district, and they were big athletes. And growing up, I was like, I want to be cool like them. I want Lettermans like them. So I was just obsessed with Lettermans. And it was like, oh, do 2 years of varsity, you get the Lettermans. I was like, okay, bet, let me do that. but it was also a combination of just looking up diving. And then when I would look up diving videos, I was hooked. Like I wanted to watch it again and again. And I was like, I need more diving videos. Like I could probably watch diving and just diving videos in general, like for hours on end. Because just seeing people, especially like men diving, it's just like I wanted to emanate what they do of being graceful, but then also so powerful at the same time. And just that control of their body, just flipping in the air and just all the somersault and twists and just having the ability to do what most people aren't capable or able to do is what drove me to try diving. But my mom didn't actually want me to do diving at first, so it was a journey.
No, I respect that. I respect it because similar to you, I used to watch on YouTube those diving videos, even play the games on my phone. So I give you the courage for even trying that because I know this one, but I was scared doing all those flips and everything. So I praise you for that. And our question. So you and I both know Texas, is a big football state, big
Mhm.
basketball state, and you took the initiative to steer right, make your own lane, and go into diving and everything like that. So what were you okay, going indifferent, and how did you feel? Not doing the normal norm or going the football route and basketball route in a state like Texas.
So people don't really know this, but I feel like Texas, it's like an undercover diving state. Because
Mm,
honest to God, like Texas is low-key goated for sports in general, and they put a lot of emphasis on sports, and our state is very competitive. So if it's even like traditional sports, Texas still puts a heavy emphasis, even if it's like a non-sport, like even academics. There's academic competitions and then also art competitions that I personally was involved in that Texas really drives the students to get involved and just to participate in because of just how competitive our state is. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, even though I was like, yeah, black people don't really do diving, I didn't care. I was like, I wanted to try diving. I've always been the person who was like, I really want to, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And my parents know this too. And they're like, I'm their like weird child because, like, again, my older siblings never did any aquatic sports. Most people in my family have never either. So I'm like the only person in my family who's gotten involved with a sport that involves water. And it's crazy too, because even some people in my family don't know how to swim. So it was like I didn't have anybody to really steer me in the path of like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. I was just like, okay, we're just gonna do it. And I was not stubborn. Stubborn isn't the right word, but I was very persistent on joining something that I wanted to do. And I feel like persistence is like the biggest reason as to why I went into diving. And yeah, so I told my mom, I was like, I'm gonna do this, all this other stuff. But she was like, you're not doing that. You're gonna hit your head on the diving board and you become paralyzed. And I'm not gonna let you do it. But I'm gonna be honest, I still did it anyway because I felt again this passion in me to be like, I need to do this. This needs to happen because I tried basketball, didn't work out for me because I was forced to play basketball by my parents. Didn't enjoy it because my older siblings did it. It wasn't fun to me. Never did football, but I couldn't see myself doing football. And then I feel like football is just as dangerous, or if more, than diving because it's more so injury prone than diving. And track is the only other sport I've ever competed in. But again, I never really founded community, or more so, I didn't have fun doing track. So then I just hit diving, and then it kind of clicked.
wow, wow, that's a good story. Good story. So that passion building up for you for diving, can you kind of tell me, was there a certain age or a moment or even time during your high school career, early years that you said you wanted to take diving to the next level and continue it at the collegiate level? Was there a certain moment, race, or just kind of you already knew that you wanted to take it to the next level?
So again, my older brother, he was a collegiate athlete, and he went to multiple schools like PBAMU and then also a school in Southern Arkansas. So again, in my household, I was exposed to college athletics or being a college athlete. But I had to make my own path because I didn't do the same sport as him. And he didn't know how diving worked. He didn't know the ins and outs of diving. So I was kind of on my own on that. He could only help me from the athletic or college athlete perspective. So I think I always knew deep down, I was like, okay, I want to do college athletics. I want to continue diving in college. But I think it really was gearing up in junior year where it was like, yeah, I'm gonna go D1. I'm gonna do D1 diving in college, and nobody else can tell me nothing. Like I was
Mm,
not hearing any of it
mm,
again because D2 and D3 are just as important and just as beneficial. But I always saw myself that I was like, I want to go D1 because that's how serious I wanted my diving to get. And if I wanted to take my diving to even another level of not even just people who are always saying, "Oh, do you want to dive in the Olympics?" That's not my only goal. I want to be able to train and just dive internationally and be able to represent a country again internationally and just not on just the NCAA level or the collegiate level. I want to go beyond and past that because diving, while it's not, like has the MLB or the NFL, it still has international competitions around the world. And it gives you opportunity to just visit and just see our big, vast world that there is to offer. And yeah, so I think I was getting serious about it during junior year, but I feel like I've always known I wanted to do college athletics. But again, I got a lot of doubts, a lot of people saying I can't do it, and then I should just strive for D3 and just let it go. So yeah.
So then, how did you use that motivation? Continuing off that, people, trying to check your confidence, saying you can't go D1 and that you go D2, D3. How did you personally handle that, and what did you do to overcome it?
It definitely was hard because everybody in my life didn't believe in me. Like even some family were like, "Yeah, you need to start looking at Texas schools because it's getting close to graduation," and they wouldn't take me seriously as like you're gonna dive in college because it wasn't looking the chances were looking slim. But again, with persistence, I was like, I know I want this for me and for my life, and I have to be the person to believe in me. Because if I lose belief in myself, there's nobody else to turn to keep getting me to go through this. But again, I'm not going to be like, oh, nobody was in my corner. Again, my older brother, he was a big factor in not letting me give up on like pursuing diving in college because it was second semester senior year, which is super duper late. Mind you, I feel like in the sport of diving, I've been late to everything. Joining the sport, getting involved with the club aspect of diving, not just high school diving, all aspects of diving. So I was like, I'm already late with recruiting. I should have been committed by junior year, but my older brother was like, don't go to LSU, which I originally was going to go to, and regret not doing athletics in college. Try and reach out to Howard and see what they say and see what happens, because you never know what you'll find out. So I was like, okay, okay, this he's older than me, so I was like, this old fart, like I don't believe what you're trying to say. Like I'm over it. Like I've already emailed a dozen schools, like it's not happening. Reached out to them, and then it was a monthly process, but in the end, I stand here today as a Howard diver. So his advice worked a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow, wow, that's kind of good that you had that family component and that belief in yourself. So you mentioned you saying your siblings were collegiate athletes. So during those times where you were kind of maybe even questioning or people going in your corner saying you weren't going to make it, did you rely a lot on your older siblings who were once collegiate athletes to ask them their perspective and advice?
So only my older brother was a collegiate athlete, and I definitely did ask him for advice. But again, he also too didn't know something aspects of that, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know how this works, that works." So he was kind of like, I can help you, but I can only help you so much because diving in college and doing basketball in college are two different languages. So it was definitely like I can just help you, what you should look in coaches, all this other stuff, and then also like keep being hard on you to keep asking, are you reaching out? Are you talking to coaches? All this other stuff. But there was only so much he could do because his world is the world of basketball instead of being the world of diving.
Mm. Mm. Interesting, interesting. So you said your brother prompted you to reach out to schools, reach out to Howard. So
Mhm.
during that process, when you're reaching out to schools in your mind, walk me through what is going through your mind. Are you nervous? Are you just deep and rooted in your faith? Are you looking at maybe going to LSU? What was your reasoning or kind of the background when you're reaching out to schools mentally?
For me, it was like I had so much doubt and I had doubt in myself. Even then, when I was making like recruiting videos, I was like, oh, why am I doing this? I'm not that good of a diver. My videos look horrible. They don't look great. I'm like, nobody's gonna want me as a diver when I can't even compete big dives because for D1, the diving standard I didn't have at the time. And then even today, I still don't have some of those dives. And I'll get in that to probably later, but I describe myself as being a developmental diver. So yeah, I was like, I'm not even D1 material. No one believes I can go D1. Literally, all my coaches are telling me, why are you trying to do D1? Do D2, D3. You're not good enough for D1. So it was definitely like, okay, like, what am I even doing right now? If nobody else is telling me the same thing I'm telling me and they're telling me to go a different way, maybe I should just listen to them. So it was like a kind of like backhill battle of what I wanted and then what they believed was possible for me.
Mm. Wow, wow. Well, it's really just it's kind of sad to even your own family members can kind of deter you from your dream and your real passions when they tell you to chase your dreams, and this is something that you love and had a passion for. So, wow, wow. So, walk me through when I don't know if you got the email or the call or the notification from Howard University saying they want you to come attend university and be on their swim and dive team. Walk me through how was that for you personally, but also the reaction of telling your family and everything, and finally you're going to the D1 school that has swim and dive at Howard.
Excuse me. So mm, the recruitment process was crazy because again, I did the recruitment process on my own.
Mhm.
So just remembering back to it was like a monthly process because I remember trying to fill out the Howard application. It closing on me, and I was like, dang, maybe that's it. But I still reached out. I still emailed the coaches, and I was like, hey, I want to dive for y'all. Like, let me come to your school. Let me come dive for y'all. And it definitely took some maneuvering. It took me reaching out to multiple people. I actually reached out to one of my teammate slash captain of this previous year that's now graduated, Jordan Connell. So if you see this, thank you, Jordan Connell. You're the reason I'm at Howard. Shout out to J Money. Big shout out to J Money. But yeah, it was a monthly. It was like a definitely like long process to where it started from like February to all the way to April. Because this was like getting super close to like me getting to commitment day, and I was like, dang, like am I even gonna get committed by commitment day? Like I don't know how this is gonna work out. And they were so unsure, and they weren't seeing me like they were leaning to yes or to no. So it's like I don't know which way they're gonna go. So this is the moment where I was like, oh God, like I was anxious every day at school. I was like telling my teachers, I was like, oh God, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if they're gonna take me, if they're gonna accept me. So it was really just a lot of just like anxiety, but then also being like, oh Lord, let me pray. Like, hopefully this works out. Hopefully something happens. Hopefully I didn't do it for nothing.
Mhm.
But then again, it was just again reaching out again and again and again and just being constant, persistent with my form of communication towards the coaches. And then finally, I remember, I believe in April, that's when I got the coach's call. And I was like, please let me be able to dive here. So it was, I believe, both swim coaches at the time, the head swim coach, Coach Nick Askew, and then also the assistant coach who is now gone to another school, but Coach Tony. Coach Tony, you're seeing this, even though you're at Catholic University in Texas, thanks for being on that call and seeing something in me. Yeah. So yeah, and they were like, okay. So they were very serious, and I was like, oh Lord, be serious. I'm scared. But then they were like, we would like to offer you a roster spot for our team. I was like, let's go. I was like, let's go, let's go. I'm like, I know I did that. I'm like, Jake, like, I know I did that. I'm like, yeah. And I was like, really? And I was like, sign me right now. Sign me right now.
I'm
And
ready
like,
right
I was like, sign me right now. So that was a big moment, and I was like, wow, like it really shows you if you have belief in yourself and you just, ignore people that just don't believe that you can achieve what you want to achieve, good things can come out of it, and it can be possible and it can happen. And then even then, like telling my parents, they were thinking like, oh, you actually did that. Even my parents were like, oh, we thought you was gonna have to go to a Texas school. Like even my parents to this day, they're like they always tell me like daily, like when I'm having a hard day and I'm like, okay, I don't think I can do this anymore. They're like, daily, we like you came a long way. Like we didn't think that like you was gonna dive into college, but you made it possible. So you have to keep going because if you can do that, you can keep going. So just even getting that from like my foreign parents, mind you, like Nigerian and Jamaican parents, and they were like, if they can admit like, yeah, they were wrong and like you made it possible, I'm just like, yeah, like that was like a turning corner. I was like, okay, if I can do that, anything's really kind of possible.
That's true. When you get the approval from Nigerian African parents, it's like
Yeah,
amazing. Like the way the show is just
yeah,
on.
African and Caribbean parents, like,
My
yeah,
is that God really had a plan for you, and I'm glad that
hmm
you stay focused, consistent, and continue believing in your passion and dream. So I'm good. I'm glad to see that. So, following from your high school years at Garland and in Texas, on the swim dive team, how was that transition from diving in Texas to now on the D1 collegiate level at the only HBCU with a swim and dive team that's not halfway across the country, but Still, Texas and DC are
It's
far.
it's definitely far. Heavy
Okay.
on that. Like, let's talk about it. It's definitely far. I'm definitely like 18, 20 hours away, mind you. Yeah.
You drive?
No,
Oh,
I could never do the drive. Mm-mm. I could never do that.
yeah.
So yeah, it definitely is across the country, on the other side of the country.
So how's that transition for you? Like especially going into your freshman year, um, on the dive team from back home in Texas to now at Howard.
It was definitely a big shift. Very big shifts. Like, I don't want the Nigerian to come up, but like big shift, big shifts. Like, it was a heavy shift because I went from like the most southern state, in my opinion. Texas is the most southern state. Yeah, like Texas is the most south. Like, we're the
Georgia?
most southern point of the US, so we're the most southern state.
Okay, geographically, yes, but culture wise and everything, I gave it to Georgia.
Uh, 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 nah. But yeah, so I went from Texas and then also people driving everywhere, everything being like far. Like, mind you, my high school was the 12-minute drive, but it was like an hour or two walk. Like, you had to have a car to get there because you had to go over a bridge to get to my high school. So going from that to having to walk everywhere was a very hard shift, especially Howard and those infamous Howard Hills. That was the hardest thing too. I did get my scooter though. The scooter helps.
Okay.
So mind you, I might be the stereotype of the college athlete with a scooter, but it helps, especially because people were not lying. College athletics, like, you have to be everywhere in like a snap of the finger. And that was the biggest thing for me too. Time management, because you literally have to be everywhere. Like, right after class, you have to rush back over to where you practice to do weights. And then right after, you have to get ready to go here and there. So it's just like a million things happening in one day, and you have to make sure you're on time and where you need to be. So yeah, also a big thing too was, I would say it was crazy because again, like, it was like an all black team.
Mhm.
So getting to dive with other divers that looked like me, and I was like, oh wow, like, I'm not the only one. Because mind you, I went from having at least like a teammate in high school that was mixed, half black, half white, and then by senior year, she quit, was long gone. I was the only black diver, period,
Mhm.
and there was just other white divers and just me. So I was just like, it went from that to having all black teammates, and then also to like for the first time having a black coach, which
Mhm.
was a big shift for me. But then also definitely it culturally changed something in me to where I was like, oh wow, this is like kind of exciting. Yeah,
Wow. Wow, that's good. I know that that change in scenery was really good because I
yeah,
feel like you had that. You work well when you're around people that look like you, talk like you, stuff like that. So seeing other
yeah.
people, I think that's kind of, kind of in a sense built the team culture, and that brings me to my next question. What is the team culture like at Howard, and how has it shaped you?
Okay. Excuse me. For me, the team is very much like black, not disconjointed, but it's very much sometimes gives like Medea family, like Medea's family reunion, because
Just watch.
everybody's a character, everybody's gonna have beef here and there, but at the same time, at the end of the day, when it's time to go, everybody locks in and gets it together. So that's the part like I love about it because it really gives like black family, and it's just like the team environment again. It's based on principles that Coach Nick always tells us, like anytime: discipline, positive, and accountability. And that's just like the best like part because it's just like he wants us to hold that. And then also, not only again are we like student athletes, they put a heavy emphasis on academics. And Coach Nick has a standard. And I love that we had a standard because it really shows like just because you're an athlete doesn't mean you get to BS and like forego your student. Because at the end of the day, like my coach, my diving coach has told me, this is a 4-year experience, but it's going to end one day. And what are you going to do after it ends? And I feel it was like, you're so right. And they really put emphasis on just because you're an athlete, you're going to have to go somewhere at the end of the day after you graduate. So just having those principles and just those thoughts were just like, wow, like this team really cares about not just the now, but then also the future.
Mhm. Mhm. I respect. I think I really praise Howard on that. I think the alumni and just the networking, but the camaraderie and the community that's built there. I went on there on a visit. my senior year, and I felt it and I knew. So I think, especially if you being an athlete, you have that community, but then you step outside the athlete bubble, and you're like, you're in the Mecca, like, and you're in
Yeah.
DC too. It's like,
Hmm.
ask for it. So, what kind of mental toll has diving taken on you, and how do you cope with it?
It's funny you asked this question. It's so funny.
Oh,
It's so funny. Wow. So again, when we were talking about that shift from high school diving to collegiate diving, even though like I did a lot, I was super involved in high school. And even while being super involved, I did club diving, which was like 30 minutes away in Dallas. And I had to drive myself to and back from, and also high school diving, which was super early in the morning. So definitely that was like a heavy toll on me in high school. But college is no joke. Because mind you, you have to be there, like no matter what. It's not just like, oh, it's an activity, you can just forego it. You have to be here. You have to show up and show out. And what I mean by that is like we basically practice every day. Like your life, like doing diving, it's like you are dedicated to the sport. Like you are married because you have practice every single day. The only day I can think that we didn't have practice was Sunday. And even then with Sundays, sometimes you have to go on Sunday into the pool for study hall. So it's like your life, like you in swim diving was like this.
got locked in.
Yeah, because practice every day, and then you had lift 3 times a week. Like you had to stay on top because you were doing something for diving every single day. And people were like, "Oh, diving this, diving that." Like, no, like it's a lot. So I would say that's like the heaviest thing. Like, because after a few weeks of that, and then also to mind you, like competing like every other weekend or every weekend, it puts a heavy toll on your body. It puts a heavy toll on your mental because it's just like you're just so tired from having to go and go and go, and then on top of like practicing for like God knows how many hours throughout a week. You have to go back, go to your dorm, do your homework, and make sure you are keeping on top of your academics. So just that balance, and then also trying to keep up with your social life really makes sense. So like athletics are just like life in general in college. It's like a triangle because you got athletics, you got your social life, and you got your academics. And you throughout like you're not going to be able to keep everything up, but you have to try your best to maintain it because if something slips, everything else is going to slip, and then it's going to be a hot mess. And you got your teachers on you because they're just like they expect more out of you, and sometimes it feels like either teachers expect less out of you as an athlete or they're more strict on you because you're an athlete, and that's sometimes a fear for me. And they put me on a mental because it's like dang, like they're gonna be hard on me because I'm an athlete. And I don't try to let it be an inhibitor for me. I try to see it like, okay, let me prove them wrong. Because just because I'm an athlete doesn't mean that I'm just dumb and just can't do anything. Like, I know I'm smart. I know I have the brains. I can prove it to them. I'm just tired. But nonetheless, I'm going to show them that I can still bring the same effort and 100% that all the other students can while balancing the impossible. Because you have to make the impossible happen. Like, that's what I always like. It's like, that's how I describe like athlete life. You have to make the impossible possible. And also mentally with diving, again, I've had my own mental challenges with diving, still do. Diving is a complicated sport. People do not give divers credit where it's due because they think it's just doing simple flips. But diving can be frustrating sometimes. And like I've had multiple times in cases where it's like I wanted to quit because I'm just like, this sport. Like I would just get so irritated because like one day you can be doing a dive so well, you're ripping a dive. It's like you're going through the water, like wow, like I'm lucky Olympic, I'm lucky goated, like this lucky Olympic level. Next day you're washing over or you're washing onto your back. You're like not catching the board, you're not like riding the board well, and it's just like you're like, can I still dive? I was just doing this fine yesterday. But how diving has been described to me is diving is not a linear journey. It is like it'll go here and then up and then down. It's not a linear journey. It's very frustrating for someone like me because I'm a perfectionist. That's like the hardest part because it's just like it's so frustrating to not be perfect with your diving all the time, and that's just how the sport is. And you have to either suck it up or let it consume you. So that's the biggest thing. And then also competitions like, ooh, meats be stressing me out in my stomach because I'm a very anxious person. So just competition and meats too.
Wow. So how has Howard University supported your mental health as a student athlete then?
Hmm. I'll say my coach. I've definitely leaned on my coach because he is a old black man pastor. He is so funny. So Coach Courtney, if you're watching this or you ever watched this, you are the funniest man ever. And I would say you're one of the reasons I survived. And then also too, just not only leaning on people inside my team, leaning on people outside of my team. Because Howard, again, and it's the main reason I wanted to go to school out of state, not only because I got the chance to do diving at the only place in America that it could be offered at HBCU, but then also too, like it is the Black Mecca for a reason, or that's how it's referred to, because of just how many different cultures, personalities, and experiences you'll find. Like in the same dorm, I have a friend that's from Long Island, New York, but also too on a different floor, I have a friend that's from Canada that was born in Japan. And it's just like being able to meet different people and it's just like, oh yeah, and then she's living with a girl that is from the Congo. Yeah, she's Congo and she's from the Congo and all the other stuff. And it's just like, wow, like just meeting all those different backgrounds and experiences and being able to lean on those people because everybody, you're not going to be like, oh, everybody is your friend because again, not all skinfolk are kinfolk. At the end of the day, like I've leaned on a lot of people outside of diving or outside of the HU swim and dive team that I feel like have got me through freshman year because they've just like they're people at just campus are just so like they got into Howard for a reason. Like they're so wise, they're so mature, and they've given me the advice to keep pushing and make it through the year. So definitely leaning on people, especially in my dorm because I feel like Annex. I love Annex, the dorm I stayed in, because it's definitely like everybody describes it. It may be a little ghetto here and there, but it has a big community that you're able to lean on to. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Shout him out. Shout him out. So aside from when you're in the water and everything like that, so when you're not in the water, how do you recharge mentally and physically?
For me, I sleep. I don't want to be like I just sleep. I'm just kidding, but hmm. That is a good question because I feel like you always are going, and throughout the year, you never really have time for yourself.
Exactly.
But I just try and do things when I can, do things that I enjoy. Like I'll read web comics. I'll just, be reading and just like be reading my favorite web comics or just comics in general. But then also too, like I give myself time. Like I know it sounds bad, but like I'm a TikTok warrior. I'll give myself some TikTok time. Like I'm like, okay, let me scroll, let me do that. But then
Mhm.
also too, I try my best to build myself professionally and then look into applications for programs or anything else that can benefit me for my future career and then also around campus and then also to again taking advantage on what's on campus so like free events that are giving out Red Bull on campus like on my way to practice or then also to people painting outside just taking a look stopping by be like oh what they painting like let me be nosy real quick and then also to like just hanging out with people outside of diving because you're with HU Swim and Dive so much. It's like sometimes you take a step back and you just simply just going to the dining hall, just eating breakfast with people that just aren't on the team and just being like, what's, life like as someone who's a non-athlete? Like, how's your life going? Like, and just chatting it up. And then also too, calling people from back home to
Yeah.
ground you and be like, hey, like, it's been crazy. Like, help, send help. But then they'll just be like, "You got it, you good," and just act like just calling and just checking in with people back home in Texas. Because I've lived in Texas my whole life. That was
Yeah.
also a really hard thing for me. Because before coming to the Howard, I didn't know what the DMV stood for. I was like, "What does DMV stand for?" I didn't know what that stood for. I didn't know what it was. So when I saw this like hashtag on TikTok, what is a DMV Nigerian? I was like, "What is that?" I didn't know what that was. So definitely calling back to people because Texas again is all I've ever known. So just calling people that remind me of like where I'm from and like I still have support from back home to get me through like any challenges I had.
Mm, mm. I think community is a big aspect for you. Having community just around you, during your time in life. I think just as an African American male, but also going to HBC and you being an athlete, I think
Mm,
community as a whole is special. And I think you're actually in a great place. Howard, like I said, one of the
yeah.
best communities, and then back home. So I'm glad that you're continuing to build that and build something outside. So we've said it again. Howard is one of the only HBC is the only HBCU to have a swim
Shoot.
dive.
Yes.
And with you a part of that, for you personally, what responsibility do you have to represent something bigger?
Mm, that's a good question. That's a good question. again, like you just stated, it's bigger than yourself because it's not just like you doing college diving at all these other schools. You're representing past you. You're representing the people that have come before you and that will come after you. And it's more so like every day that I go into that pool, it's 7 in the morning. I don't want to get in the water. It's cold. I'm tired. I'm not a morning person. But you have to realize or have that realization you are representing more than yourself. Because unlike swimming, has some black, like, even though it's not as many, swimming
Mhm.
has black people that swim here and there or do collegiate swimming or just do swimming in general. Diving, diving has like basically bare to none divers. And it's sad. And the sport is definitely heavily still lacking on diversification of people who look like us. So
Mhm.
then also to our team, um just going in, and when our team just goes in, like, we have this mindset that take up space. We need to take up space because there's nowhere else that we take up space as much as here we do. Because at conference, my coach even told me too, look at the 1 meter boards and 3 meter boards. Our whole team takes up both of those boards. Where else have you seen that happen or occur? Nowhere. So just having that fact in mind that it's just like you need to take up space and you need to really ease into that because there's nowhere else that can happen. And for people to see that and people to witness that and be like, wow, like our people really do that. It gets them thinking like we are capable of doing anything we can. Like we are capable of doing anything we want to do. And diving isn't supposed to be a non-black person sport. Like, so we can do what we want to do. And black people do dive. Black people can excel in diving and black people can compete and be competitive in diving. That's why we won conference.
Exactly. And I love that because you're doing the indifferent route. As black men, we're taught, sports, we do football, we do basketball.
Yeah.
We're slowly
Hmm.
starting to see us in baseball, not so much in hockey nor soccer, and even with swim and dive. So I think, and I will greatly, stand and appreciate you for making and being a part of that difference and leading the
Hmm.
revolt, like to young black men that you don't have to be, basketball and football is cool, but you can also
Yeah,
look at avenues as well. So I praise you for that.
exactly.
So you and I both know that sometimes like swimming and diving can be a lonely sport. When you're on the diving board, you by yourself, there may be people watching, but it's just you, the board, and the water. So how do you stay motivated through the grind, especially during those alone periods while diving?
We're diving again, even though it's like you have a team, it is really you. Unless you're doing synchro. Synchro diving is a whole other thing, but I've never done synchro, so I can't speak on that. But regardless, it's like you're like, okay, I'm on this board. I've done this before. And like my captain, Jordan Connell, has told me, you've done this before. You do the, like, you've done the training, all this other stuff. You know what you can do. Like, you've done the training to lead up to this. So you have to trust yourself and your body to do what it knows how to do because you've done it through practice. So now it's time to show what you've been doing and what you've constantly been doing reps of again and again. And just this is the same thing. Because what most people do in meets is that because of the anxiety or fear, even I've been susceptible to this, is that they change what they do in practice when it's the same thing. It's the same board, even though boards might be different at different pools, it is the same board. So you have to also, too, what has helped me is something called visualization or then also modeling. Visualization is, I don't do as much as modeling because I'm more of a visual person, but visualization is when you close your eyes and you think in your mind, okay, so I do this at this dive, I do that at this dive, I twist now and here, and then you're like, I'm gonna do the same thing I just thought of in my head on the board. Or also too, I do more so modeling. Before I get on the board, what I'll do is I'll model the dive. I'll model what I'm supposed to do. I'll
Mm,
practice doing a step out hurdle. I'll walk out onto the pool deck and I'll walk and act like, okay, this step, that step. Go up, dry your knee up, and then also just giving myself mental cues of what I'm supposed to do in the dive. Also, too, I'll do this. I'm like, okay, you wrap like this, you're gonna square out like this, and then you're going to reach for the water and be tight. And just thinking of all that, because when you do the doing a dive is only something that happens in 1.4 seconds. But in that 1.4 seconds, you have to think about a million things at one time. So just doing that mentally before gets yourself in the mindset, okay, so you don't have to do this all on the board while the judges are waiting for you to go. So it's like you do it beforehand so that you're ready when you get on that board to crush whatever you thought of.
mm. So when you're diving and you're doing a flip in the air, is anything going through your mind during that split second, or is it clear? Like, what is it going through just when you're doing those flips?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking. I'm like, okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make sure I don't do that, but I'm gonna also do this. A million things in my head go on during that dive. I'm thinking so many things when I dive because I'm just trying to make sure that like I do what I'm supposed to do. So I definitely think so much when I'm diving, but it's really just to make sure that like I hit the dive for what I'm supposed to do. And it's still something that is a work in progress for me to really trust myself because I've been like labeled by my coach as like anticipating diving or like I look like I'm scared in my diving photos. But I think it's also to the repetition of doing certain dives and then also just getting over me anxiety to really just be able to just crush it and be like, okay, like I've done this before, I can do this again. It's not different. It's in the meat, but you've done this before.
Yeah, repetition, repetition. So, Bamidele, what would you say to a young black kid that's watching this right now who wants to swim but they don't see themselves in the sport yet?
Mm. I can help you, kid. I don't swim.
Or diving. Let's say diving. A kid
Yeah,
that wants
I'm
to
like,
do that.
I'll tell you to my teammate, like, I don't swim. I can help you, son. Um, but yeah, that's actually a very question I've thought about too, because like being back where I was in Indiana at Ritfest, I worked at Ritfest diving camp like for the most of the summer. And even in Indiana, you would see kids on the community side of the pool, and I would just see them, and they'd be on the diving board just jumping off. It would be funny though, because it's funny for me when people jump off the diving board and they hold their nose like this. I'm like, guys, you can just blow out the water in your nose, but really just like seeing them put like a smile on my face, I'm just like, dang, like they doing that, they trying it, because it's like when I be, especially when I have a hard day for diving, or when I would have hard days when I was in Indiana, I would look at them and be like, okay, what I'm doing is worth it. I'm doing it for them. And what I would tell them, so many things is like, 'cause I've just been given so much good advice over the years of my like very short span diving career. Because I've only been diving, as some a coach described it, in China, they don't like they like call you for diving. You have a diving age, and my diving age is only 4.5 years. So I have not been diving that long, and I've even been labeled as someone who's been a late bloomer or just late starter to diving because I started the summer before my sophomore year. When most people either have a gymnastics background, which I don't, or also to, they start when they're super young, but neither for me. So I would tell them something my dad recently told me is that, you're not dead. This is like a dad, like I was like, this is giving like Nigerian proverb, but he was like, you're not dead, so you can still try. If you're still alive, you still have the chance to try. So if you're not dead, keep trying. He told me that. But I was like, that's kind of harsh for a kid, but that's what my dad told me as like an African parent. Like, and I was like, you're so right. Like, I'm not dead, so I can keep trying no matter what. But then also too, don't allow other people to say what you can and can't do, because you can only do what you allow yourself to do. Because again, like a quote that I also really enjoy and really liked is that my coach told me this, Coach Courtney, he told me this, is that don't, give people the chance to kick you or like kick you out or like kick you in the butt, because if you're going to like kick yourself also, so you're just doing the job for them. So you need to make sure you're in your corner, you're lifting yourself, and you have belief in yourself. Because if you don't, people are waiting for the opportunity. They're waiting for the chance to do it for you. So don't let them get the job done before they even get the chance to do it. Because I'm just like, you need to make sure you're uplifting yourself. You're telling yourself you can do this instead of letting people, doing the job for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. Dang, my
Yeah,
brother preaching over there. Okay. Okay. So for you personally, what legacy do you want to leave at Howard or in the sport in general, diving for you?
I've definitely thought about this before I go back. In the near future, or just the future in general, before I finish collegiate diving, I want to be the first NCAA, just the first HBCU athlete to get to the NCAA men's championships. And there has been a black man that has done it before, but not from a HBCU. So again, like people say, people don't believe that HBCUs are competable or they can excel or they can make it to the big leagues. But I want to erase that mindset or perspective and tell them we can do it, we can make it. So making it to the NCAA men's finals championships, as well as just being able to just make it to those big diving competitions and just being able to show that like HBCU athletes, especially like me, can make it to the high of the high, the top of the top, because we are just athletic as other schools or non-HBCUs.
Right, preach. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
We're manifesting and praying that you go ahead and be the first from HBCU. But I already know in my mind that it's gonna happen. I have
Mhm.
no doubt. I have no doubt. So as we head to the end of this episode, for you personally, for your future, you mentioned that you're a communications major. I know you're big journalism. You love photography,
Yeah.
writing, and so forth.
Mhm.
So after your time at Howard, do you personally want to go continue with diving, go to the Olympics, or tap into your academics using the Howard Network and going into the journalism world, which is really good in DC? What's kind of the route that you want to take?
I've definitely pondered on this because I was like, oh, I'm already a sophomore. Like, the pressure is getting worse. I was like, wow, we already here. Like, I literally just landed at Howard, like, had my mom yelling at me, trying to move in. And now it's like year two is already here. By the time I get, in a blink of an eye, like, snap of the finger, it's going to be senior year. I'm going to have to get a job. But oh, almost forgot to say this too, is a small goal of mine from the question previous is that I want to conference or I want to place at conference like this upcoming year. So that's a big, smaller goal of mine because I feel like people only talk about big goals, but a very like achievable goal that I have that's upcoming is to conference at like to place at conference. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, okay.
But yeah, but thinking about the future Olympics, people are like, "Oh, you go to Olympics all the time." I'm like, "Huh." But, if I can make it to D1 diving, people didn't think I was. Maybe let's try the Olympics. Let's go for it because you never know. 2028, it's too close. I don't think I would aim for 2028 because I'm not the level I need to be. But if I had the opportunity, because again, diving is an unwalkable sport in doesn't have a path or a set path onto how you continue diving because there's not a league. There's not a league. There's not really a set way of how to continue diving afterwards. You have to kind of carve your own path into what you want it to be in diving. So I would just try to be like, if I had the funds, if I had the opportunities, I take it. And I would train all the way up to even if I see if my knees can take me, because my knees are already hurt and I'm only 19, I would try and go for the 2032 Olympics. So that's would be a goal for mine. But especially to just another goal for mine, because if the Olympics happens, it happens. But just being able to again like HBCUs to the world, being able to tell people because people don't know Howard University or my team, but they should. But really just promoting and just telling like spreading my team to the world and just showing them like, oh, like our team is the big dogs. Like, don't discount it. You're like, who is that? What is that? You know us. The world will know our name. Like the world will know who Howard University Swimming and Diving is, and this diver is going to tell them. So just going to international competitions, crushing it, and being able to be like, yeah, I'm at a HBCU. What about it? I don't go to any of the Big Ten or any of the bigger schools, but I can still dive just as well because again, diving is not only a very white dominated sport, it's very much so who you have connections with. So that's the hardest thing too. So just being able to get those connections to get to where I need to go. But work in progress, we'll see. But also too, again, as a child of immigrants and a first generation American, I'm still thinking about like, yeah, I need to get a job and then also continue my academics. So I haven't, set in stone on what I want to do because I'm only just now going to sophomore year. But I'm definitely thinking about getting my master's degree, either in something in international relations or also going to NYU potentially to get a master's in journalism because I also like to dabble in not only journalism reporting, but I also have interest in short films and just making documentaries in general. So I also want to try and see if I can be an Emmy, Emmy award winning
Okay.
journalist
Yeah, okay.
and short
Yeah.
film creator. So the
Mhm.
Emmys are just even having a regional Emmy is definitely on my radar or on my target for the future. And also just, being a TED Talk speaker, because I have things to say. Even if I'm a journalist, I like to talk. So I have things to say people need to know. So being a very recognized TED Talk speaker, because I remember in middle school, like with my upbringing, I would watch in class TED Talk videos all the time And the one that has always stuck with me too is I'm not remembering her name right now, but it was this African TED Talk woman. And she was basically like thinking about how stereotypes, and if you're not able to write your own story, people will write them for you. So I'm not gonna let anybody write my story. So I want to get on that because if I don't write my own story, people are gonna write it for me. So that's why I want to have a TED Talk because it's like that's my chance to write my own story and spread it to the world. Yeah, so those are like the biggest things. And then again, trying to be employed, either either graduate school or grad school,
Mhm.
or really just getting a job as a journalist or reporter and working my way up to being a news anchor. But most people like they leave the sport of diving. I think even though diving be frustrating me, I don't think I'm ever gonna leave the sport of diving. And then I'm even in the works of trying to see about how really getting and breaking through the diversification of diving because diving needs to be more diverse. Because something for me is like the US is too big for the pool of diving to be so small. Just like gymnastics, diving is the same way. The black community is so talented and so capable of excelling and doing well in acrobatic sports or aquatic sports in general, like diving. But they don't have the funds, they don't have the access, and stereotypes again. We're not able to point our toes. We're not able to swim. All those things, and even ridiculous ones like our bones are too dense, and that's why we can't swim or go in the water. Ridiculous things like that are holding our community back, and even black people be holding black people back because that's a black person sport. So, educating, meeting, and getting people to join the sport of diving because the sport of diving needs to be more diverse. Because I think the US would do so well. Like, look at some of Miles. The US would do so well if we got our community like into the sport, into gymnastics, into those sports, because we can really put it on the map on the world. Because we great. Like, black is not only beautiful, black is powerful, and we have the power to change and really just be unprecedented in the sports like that. So yeah, and then otherwise, I'm just trying to think. Like, there's something I was trying to say is like the sport just needs to just grow and be diverse in that sense. But it'll come to me. But that's everything I have on my mind. Yeah.
And I think you could be a really a pinnacle leader in that, having being the multiple experiences of being the child of immigrant parents
Hmm.
and then being in Texas doing diving and then going to HBCU. Then you could really reel in your journalism skills. And even if, go as far to the Olympics, as far as you can go, and then just bringing the journalism skills and TED Talks or just talk and
Yeah.
really open that up to not just, across America, but really in our black community. Like, like I'm
Hmm.
from Texas, I'm from Georgia, like we're known like, football,
Yeah.
basketball. It's like that. I haven't heard of that in Georgia, and I'm 20 years old. Like all my life, I've never heard of it. So I think
Yeah.
a really a shift and change, and I agree. If Americans started doing that, then we will be talked about. We will see more Black people going to college,
Hmm.
getting funded,
Yeah.
everything. So I think that's
Heavy
something.
on that. Yeah.
So the last and final question before we wrap things up, Bamidele, what advice would you give to our listeners and viewers on their mental health journey?
Everybody's just trying to go to the NFL. Everybody's trying to do this. That's why also too gymnastics and diving. It gives you still a chance to do college athletics. And people think like me personally, I feel like it's easier to do college diving than it is to do college football, college basketball, because not as many people are into it. And also, too, if you got a person of color or a black person into it, they're like, oh, like, you know? And then also, too, that would bring back the HBCUs to be like, okay, we have a reason why to have swimming and diving. Because in my mind, like one day there will be like an HBCU swimming and diving conference or league. Because there's already one for softball, and then also I know football, of course, has one. But I want to see that for diving, swimming and diving. Like I feel like that'd be lit.
It would.
Like, just I can imagine us just like, you make me happy. Like, out of all black swimming and diving meet, like that would be so lit in my mind. It's coming. It's just we really need to get people into that, and then also to informing people about swimming and diving, because there are black figures here and there that have made their mark on diving. People
Mhm.
just don't know about them. Christian Hayden, the first black woman to ever, have a national title at a USA Diving Nationals competition, and then also too is just other people like that. And also, the first black man to be in the Olympics, that's my idol, is Yona Knight Wisdom.
Mhm.
People don't know about him. And he was also the first diver for Team Jamaica. And just knowing a figure like that, people just don't know about. And that really just stinks because it shows. Because I was, again, in Indiana and there is this black boy and his mom and her friend were watching and he was just doing these flips, like flipping off 3 meter. And I was like, this kid is crazy. Like, I'm like, look over here, like, y'all see this? That's crazy. And then I asked the mom because I was like, I have to tell her something because they offer free diving clinics and clubs in the area, and then also the camp that I was working with. And I was like, he needs to get into this because the parents don't think like, oh, that my kid's just flipping. Like, if they have a talent like that, like that's what I'm saying. Like, the talent is out there. Just people just don't tap untapped potential. But the main point is, the friend's mom was like, okay, go Michael Phelps. No, he's not Michael Phelps because swimming and diving is again something people generalize. It's just like track and field. Swimming and diving are two different sports. The only thing that they share is water. So it's really just disappointing to see that because it's like it might be a little big, but like she should be saying, go Yona or go Yona Knightwism instead because there are black figures out there, not just Michael Phelps, who is not even a person of color, a black person who does diving. So again, just people just being informed about stuff like that. Because for me, I'm just like, dang, like it really discredits the people who have made their marks on our sport of diving that people just don't know about. But going back to your main question that you answered, I'm still on my mental health journey. I'm still looking into, therapy and stuff like that too, because a lot of people tell me or just be like, student athletes have mental issues, student athletes have mental health crisis, all sort of stuff. I'm just like, it's true. Because like athletics and just in college, it's very hard, especially on top of being a young adult and just trying to find out who you are as a person and just like exploring just who you're meant to be, just like in college when you've left your parents and you're on your own. It is a lot emotionally and mentally. And then for me, the biggest thing that I would recommend for people is I'm usually mentally hard on myself with diving because I always tell myself, I'm not a good diver. I suck. I should quit all this other stuff. And then, like, it's not worth it for me to be doing this sport. Why am I doing this sport? Why am I doing this? But advice I would give to people that I've been giving myself, like, people be giving good advice out here. I'm like, dang, like, you go be cooked with what you just said. And also, too, just like, even though people say social media is like an inhibitor and just like, oh, that's not good, like, social media is bad, it also helps in some ways because this is kind of funny, but Love Island, the winner, let me see, what's her name again?
I
Amaya from
got
Love Island.
you.
Amaya from Love Island, just she is someone I'm just like, wow, like people be just like not taking her seriously, and that's a whole other story for another day. Because like people don't be taking black women or people don't be taking women of color seriously, but she be spitting facts. I was remember seeing this video of her that was like, people can hate me all this other stuff, but I am my own best friend. I enjoy myself. I like myself, and at the end of the day, that is enough for me. And I was like, that is so true. You have to be able to be your own best friend. And again, at Indiana in Rip Fest, like I've definitely grown over the summer being involved with that is the coach I was telling me because I was crying on the pool deck. I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm going back home. I was calling my mom. I was like, okay, what Texas school am I gonna go to? We thinking University of Houston. We thinking UNTA. Like I can't do this no more. But it was just like a mental like thing, and the coach was like, don't go on the emotional strides, or just don't make this decision in the moment. And also too, the way you're talking to yourself, they aren't true. The things you say about yourself are not true, and you have to take it from the inside looking out. Again, I'm doing something people don't usually do. Diving is not easy, and you need to talk to yourself how you talk to other people. Would you talk to your family like how you're talking to yourself? Would you talk to your friends like that? You wouldn't tell your best friend you suck, you stink, like you should quit. You wouldn't tell them that. So you have to apply the same things you would tell to other people because you wouldn't say that. So if you're not willing to say that to your family, you're not willing to say that to your cousin, your mom, your dad, or anybody else, your best friend, don't say that about yourself. And you need to be, again, not only your own best friend, but you have to talk to yourself how you talk to other people. So those are the biggest things that have been a shift in my mind. I was like, yeah, like I need to get better at self-talk because self-talk is a very powerful tool on just your self-esteem and just who you are as a person.
That's true. That's true. Clock it, man. And yeah, man, doing nothing but preaching on this episode. You
I
give
mean,
the
what can I
kids
say? My coach is a pastor. What can I say? What can I say?
fast down. Well, Baba Dele, thank you again for taking the time out, sharing your story, opening about struggles and giving advice to the listeners and viewers. We wish you a prosperous season. Prayerful, we'll be looking and watching over you. And praying to God that you have a great season, a great academic year, and that Howard doesn't disappoint you. And y'all have another good year again.
Thank
So,
you. God bless. And before we head out, I have two things we could say. We either give a good HU, you know, or I can say what my coach usually says.
you gotta go HU, you know.
All right, all right. HU.
You know?
Yup.
Recipients, it's your JD. I'm
And this
out.
is Bamidele.